Iggy Pop, the godfather of punk. This music legend is known for popularizing the stage dive, performing without a shirt on, and performing all manner of bizarre and sometimes horrific theatrics on stage. You might think a man this rough and tumble gets his lyrical inspiration from societal outcasts, grimy gutters, used needles, and by mining the dark recesses of his own twisted mind. But in 1973 at least, Pop was drawing inspiration from the establishment itself. Quote, I used to read Time obsessively because they were the representatives of the ultimate establishment to me. They were giving the party line that represented the power people and the powers that be. So I kind of like to look in there and see what they were talking about, and then I'd use that inventory in other ways. That's what I was doing in that song, said Pop. That song Pop refers to is one of the most well-regarded tracks from one of the Stooges' most well-regarded albums, Raw Power. The album has been cited as being the all-time favorite of Kurt Cobain, Morrisey, and Johnny Marr. Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols also claims to have learned to play guitar by playing along to Raw Power while taking speed. Despite high praise from these musicians, the album was a flop upon initial release, reaching only number 182 on the album charts, with no singles charting. So what is it about this song that gives it the power to defy its own initial commercial failings? Quote, with this single, the Stooges lay down an archetype for punk rock. Stooges guitarist James Williamson blistering through a bastardized and pumped up Keith Richards guitar riff. Ron Ashton, having been relegated from guitar to bass, pounds the instrument with ferocity, while his brother, Scott Ashton, pummels the drum set like Keith Moon, all fills and cymbals. One can hear the influence of the song in a myriad of bands that fall out. That's the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, Motorhead, the Dead Boys, and Nirvana, writes Bill Janovitz for AllMusic. The song itself draws its musical inspiration from machine gun fire, marching boots, and sword fights, while the lyrics focus on explosions, injury, penetration, and military technology. All this summarized neatly by the title, ripped straight from the headlines of a Time magazine article covering the Vietnam War. That's right, we're talking Search and Destroy by the Stooges on Cover Me.
I'm a street-walking cheetah with a hide full of napalm. I'm a runaway son of the nuclear A-bomb. I am the world's forgotten boy.
That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that compares famous songs to their many cover versions to find out which one will detonate for me. I'm your host, as always, the Snake, joined by a street-walking cheetah.
Alex Mildenberger. Don't know what that sounds like. Faster, maybe.
Well, I guess it sounds like Iggy Pop.
Oh, Alex Mildenberger.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That's apparently my Iggy Pop. And
I would say if you did a composite of Iggy Pop over the years, you could probably say yours lands somewhere in that. You know, he's a little rougher in current day.
Yeah, that was Iggy Pop in 76.
76, okay. Yeah, I'd say, yeah. That's after the Raw Power has kind of done a little damage to his throat.
Yeah.
Perfect. Spot on. Good vintage, good year. Alex, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay.
I know you're from the Midwest.
I'm doing voices. I'm practicing voices.
You're practicing your voices. Alex is working.
Just those two. I mean, he's from what, Michigan?
Sure.
Not that really.
I was looking up his full name. Did you know it's actually Ignatius Popular?
Ignatius Popular. That doesn't sound right.
No, it's James Newell Osterberg Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He is from Michigan.
So does that mean anything? Probably not.
The funny thing about him being a performer, where the name is kind of sometimes the band, I think, in his later work, right? Initially he's with the Stooges. So you get born in Muskegon, Michigan, and then his origin is Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Because that's where Iggy Pop
was created, yeah.
Ignatius Popular.
Pretty good. I'm pretty proud of that joke. Feeling good about it. Alex, you a big Iggy Pop guy?
Not huge, but I like his stuff. But and I think I've said this before, mostly just skim the surface of some of the more popular things.
Yeah, I know. I think the album's Lust for Life.
Yeah. The Idiot.
More Ignatius things. Yeah, the Idiot. I know his most popular stuff. It's crazy though, because I love Lou Reed, I love David Bowie, and of course we're talking 1973 this week, and that is those three entities coming together, because that's David Bowie kind of picking musicians he liked who were down on their luck, if I'm remembering history correctly, and being like, I need to get these guys back in the, in the scene, scene and on their A game.
Yeah, he somehow had the pull for that, but like, yeah, influenced this album getting made. Influenced, I mean, Transformer was around the same time too.
Yeah.
Mott the Hoople, which didn't turn out to be as big a thing, but he also like kind of got them back together and was like, you should keep going.
Yeah, and was like, here, play all the young dudes.
Yeah.
Like, here's a song for you. The sway and generosity of David Bowie in the 70s is unreal. Can you imagine having that kind of power at that age to be like, these are some bands I like. I'm going to push them into the spotlight.
To recreate and like make some of their most popular and most like important works. Like,
for sure.
Cause that to exist. I mean, I guess I'm sure with Lou Reed it could be argued otherwise, but still, Transformers pretty fucking good.
Yeah, like as far as Lou Reed's solo work goes,
yeah,
you'd be hard pressed to find one bigger in the consciousness than Transformer.
Yeah,
but yeah, like obviously you had the Velvet Underground, and some people compare this album to the Velvet Underground, of course, because it has that same like sleeper hit value of like not very popular upon release. But clearly important in the development of like punk and
and lots of artists who really went on to create popular, important things. Cite this as inspiration.
Yeah,
as you mentioned.
As I did mention that, and some of them learned to play guitar to it while high on speed.
Yeah,
speed, a very general term for amphetamines. I don't really know which one it specifically refers to. Alex, you've done a lot of amphetamines. No, I'm kidding. But you have some pharmacological background. Yeah, no, okay.
Like amphetamines. I think there was a point in time where they were like, these pills are uppers. These ones like
right. So it's just kind of like
so we do those ones and that's speed kind of thing.
Right, so it's like the 5-cent candy of drugs, where you're like, well, you can get them in all these different assortments of uppers, but they're all generally labeled as speed.
Yeah, something like that. And maybe it did cost 5 cents, but because of inflation, that's a lot more.
It's a lot more. That would be insane if it was 5 cents.
5 cents. I mean,
and you get a grab bag for it.
One pill. I mean, wholesale price. Like one pill. 5 cents is actually some kind of on the expensive side.
Steep. Yeah, I guess so. Right.
Well, not really.
Depending on reasonable. The pill.
Like $1 a pill. That's high. Now I'm talking about like I used to work in pharmacy. I'm talking about like pharmacy drugs.
Yeah,
that's the cost that I used to see. But anyway.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was Canadian dollars for you.
8 years ago. So
that's like half a cent American.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iggy Pop though growing on me in recent years. I never like listened to an Iggy Pop album or like some songs I don't like as much as other, but like an album I'll listen to. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is really good stuff.
Yeah.
Even some of his newer stuff, he's got a very like, because his vocal range, of course, has gone down. And he kind of just rolls with that and has this weird like haunting like aspect to it. Like he does a song about vultures called Vulture, where he just screams vulture.
Or just screams vulture.
Is it vulture? And you're like, oh shit.
Like, oh, there's a vulture. Yeah, I think he just put out an album the beginning of the year. Like
he just put out something recently, didn't he?
So he's still going.
He's still going, still on the scene, and it is kind of wild that he is still going while some of his contemporaries, Lou Reed and David Bowie, have both passed.
Yeah,
where Iggy Pop seems like the most synonymous with being fucked up. He is like, if there's a Keith Richards of that trio, it's Iggy Pop.
It's Iggy Pop, right?
Which, of course, Keith Richards also alive.
Still alive, yeah.
Secret to living as a rock star is, I guess, just to do a copious amount of drugs.
But not like, I mean, Keith Richards is, from what I know, kind of known for doing like the exact right amount of drugs. He's like, I don't want to overdo it. I just want to do a lot. But
so he's all about he's min-maxing on the drug doing.
He's getting the right amount.
Right.
For him. Somehow he knows what that is.
Yeah, whatever that, he has a intrinsic knowledge of his body and its limits.
Yeah. Also,
what an incredible thing to have.
Nowadays, so maybe that helps.
That might help.
That might not be true, but
he's vegan. Bruce Springsteen's only eating one meal a day. What is the secret to immortality? We just don't know.
I mean, last I heard it was don't eat at all. Somehow.
Somehow, I've heard that. I do remember hearing a story of a man who claimed to have not eaten or drank in like 20 years or some shit.
Right, survive off sunlight, just photosynthesize.
Yeah, and like nourishment of God or some shit. We're far afield of search and destroy here, though, Alex.
We're getting further and further away.
A song where God is truly absent. Why this song, Alex?
I mean, it kind of rules.
Mm-hmm.
For one,
I agree.
I saw a cover of it, specifically the Florence and the Machine cover.
Yeah,
and
very
I thought,
fresh.
Hey, there's probably more covers of this, and there were
so many.
Yeah. So, and we haven't talked about the Stooges, or like we've talked about Iggy Pop, obviously.
Yeah.
But not as an original.
No, yeah, not an original, and I don't even think we talked about his work specifically with the Stooges, because he's come up as a cover artist before, and it's, I think, later.
Yeah, it would be all solo stuff, as far as I know.
Yeah. No, this song rocks pretty hard, and as we'll discuss in the lyrics, which maybe we should be jumping into here,
probably,
there's a connection to one of the songs we previously talked about.
Oh,
look at that!
Let's
go. So we begin. I'm a street-walking cheetah with a heart full of napalm.
That's quite a line, eh?
Hell yeah.
I mean, just right there in the first words, like we're streetwalking, we're a dangerous predator
animal,
and also his heart is full of this. I guess I should have looked up napalm, but I like kind of know what it is. Like it's a chemical and it burns real hot, right? And like it was This is Vietnam War era, so
yes,
being referenced here.
Yeah, it's an incendiary mixture of a gelling agent and a volatile petrochemical, Alex.
Yeah,
napalm.
It will burn things. So yeah, just right off the bat, it's already like dirty and dangerous.
Mm-hmm. So this apparently is very much like a line just about him living his life. He says, I used to walk around London through the park and stuff with this leopard jacket I had. A cheetah skin jacket, actually. It had a big cheetah on the back. All the old men in London would drive by in their cars, and they'd stop and try to cruise me.
Don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. Does that mean is that just like, if they're, it says they stop. I don't know. I thought maybe like drive by and just kind of talk shit at him as he's walking. I've never heard somebody get cruised. I have never heard it as like a verb unto something.
All right,
what do you got for me?
Verb. To move slowly through or visit a street, park, bar. This says in search of a sexual partner. So I don't know if he used that in search of a sexual partner part, or just said cruise and like that they're looking at him. Basically. Yeah. Like slow down
they'd stop and try to cruise me. That makes sense. He was eye grabbing and he was, he's got a cheat on him.
Or maybe they were trying to pick him up. I don't know.
What's more important is the heart full of napalm. He continues, all I'd like to do is walk around the streets with a heart full of napalm. I always thought Heart Full of Soul was a good song, so I thought, what's my heart full of?
Burning petrochemical.
Yeah, he decided it was basically full of napalm. We talked about Heart Full of Soul. For us, it was a week ago. For you, the listeners, 2 weeks ago. By the time this comes out. And you and I talked about how, like, what does that even mean? I think Heart Full of Napalm means a lot more.
It's more meaningful. Yeah, because when we talked about Heart Full of Soul, it's like, what is, like, soul here? Like, is it just feeling? Like, I feel stuff, my heart is full kind of thing? Yeah. But now we're talking, like, the heart is full of this... I mean, fire.
Fire, chemical weaponry.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Like, there is a feeling there, but it's like anger, and it can't really be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very dangerous.
Yeah, it's even, I guess, beyond anger, just like violence. It is just like something that is uncontrollable to some extent. It's going to burn regardless, which is, if we continue on, I'm a runaway son of the nuclear A-bomb.
Another cool line. Setting up, again, more imagery. I mean, the idea of the runaway son, we're still in this area of, like, you're running away from your parents, probably not a good situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's that combined with the street walking, but also he's the son of like an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Still very explosive, still volatile.
And in the sense of, like, because I think it is clear that, like, the current, what was current, the Vietnam War going on, and of course, the just having had happen World War II, like, the nuclear A-bomb is, like, America in itself, right? So he's a runaway son of the nation of the nuclear A-bomb who, you know, committed the greatest violence perhaps the world has ever seen.
Right.
And
also, I just like how he says it, because he says both. Don't usually say both nuclear bomb and A-bomb.
It combines them.
But you combine them, and it works with the meter, so nuclear A-bomb.
Yeah, hey, easy meter fix there.
Yeah.
He goes on, I am a world's forgotten boy, the one who searches and destroys.
The one who searches and destroys. Yes, like you were saying with, like, the A-bomb representing America. That's the other, America. I don't know if that really means anything. But he's the son, right, of this A-bomb. He's American, but he's a reject. He's forgotten. He's an outcast, I guess.
Yeah. And that's, I think, because some people, like Genius seems to think he is a soldier being deployed, which I can see that being an interpretation as well. There's also just him being like a punk in America.
Yeah, if we look at it as like describing societal outcasts in America, some of them would probably be drafted and go to Vietnam, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
Like, that's a part of this for sure. But this, I think, is broader and is referring to just this attitude, not just of people who would have gone, but maybe, people who are supposed to be, perhaps, or expecting to be, somehow taken care of by this society.
Yeah, they are forgotten and put into the war machine, basically. Ground up by the industry. There is a quote, I was considering saving it for the end of our interpretation here, but maybe it's good to just bring it in now. So he says, this is after his quote about getting his lyrics or his idea for this song from the Time magazine article titled Search and Destroy about the Vietnam War. He adds, and the thing about Forgotten Boy was basically a way to express my disgust. It's kind of like the kid in Catcher in the Rye. Once you find out how the people at the top of politics or at the top of the music industry or at the top of anything, how they begin to overvalue things and they think they can push any shit down the throats of the youth, they just don't care if it's something that the kids would like or not. They just don't fucking care. So it is his disgust with the upper class. Both in the sense that we've just talked about the war, just putting kids out to war, and then even with the state of the music industry and basically the state of the world to a larger extent once you extrapolate.
Yeah, and I think part of it's very broad, but part of that is like he's already mentioned the heart full of napalm, right? Like he's not really discriminating against targets.
Yeah, he's swinging wildly.
Yeah.
He's got a heart full of napalm, so fucking watch out.
Yeah.
He searches and destroys, so it's like, which is the term search and destroy itself already carries all the weight you need without knowing the specifics of the military tactic, which is seek out an enemy, destroy it, and then leave.
Yeah, which was used in the Vietnam War.
Yes. And then he carries on. He says, something I was trying to say through those words at the time was I had the impression that music as a branch of the entertainment industry was becoming an old cheese. It was about a bunch of people at the top manipulating certain institutional positions with the smug confidence that kids at the bottom would swallow whatever they put out. They thought they could sell shit if there was money in it, but they'd forgotten about the simple truth that any kid can see. And so he puts out this, and then it commercially fucking flops.
Yeah.
But then it, helps shape the next generation of music that kind of does what he intended with this piece, is to fight against that musical industry standard.
Yeah, or at least do your best to do that.
Yeah, of course it gets consumed and absorbed, as it always does, by capitalism, but it was, the wave broke at least, right? It's like doing the what are the mandalas in the sand, It's not about having it last forever.
Right.
It's the satisfaction of making that happen.
Having done it at all.
Don't cry because it's over, Alex. Smile because it happened.
I was just thinking about that. I'm trying to remember why.
Did something happen?
I feel like I almost quoted that at someone the other day. I don't remember what it was.
What a classic quote. Is it Dr. Seuss who said that?
I don't even know.
I think I'm a little bit off base with that, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's like you got to rebel against the machine, even if you can't beat it, right?
It's not necessarily about winning. It's more about staying true to your morals, I guess.
Yeah, the victory is temporary, certainly, but it is your victory, even if it doesn't overturn the establishment. But yeah, I am a world's forgotten boy, the one who searches and destroys. Honey, gotta help me, please. Somebody gotta save my soul. Baby, detonate for me.
Still have some very explosive imagery in there.
Yeah, dog. Baby, detonate for me. 1, great way to talk about busting a nut.
Yeah.
2, super violent, and like with him being the one who searches and destroys, it's like you need to be destroyed for to fulfill my purpose. It's quite grim.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, it does bring in a little more of that, like, I guess, sexual energy that you would get from this type of music.
Well, yeah, I mean, Iggy Pop known for largely, not always, performing shirtless.
Yeah.
And sometimes just straight up exposing himself to the audience. Like, and if you look at the cover for Raw Power, it's a very androgynous looking Iggy. He's wearing, I guess, pink leather pants, judging by this photo. It just might be the way it's toned there, but no shirt.
Yeah.
Makeup on his face, leaning on mic stand. Like, yeah, sex is on the table here, folks.
Yeah.
This is in the 50s and 60s now where we gotta, like, wink and nod about sex. It's...
No. 70s.
70s, baby. Yeah, so he's in a bad situation. Honey, you gotta help me, please. Somebody gotta save my soul. I think because he's caught in the capitalist machine. Is that how you read this, Alex?
He's caught in the machine. I was kind of
taking the world's
it,
forgotten boy.
Yeah.
Where are you taking it, Alex?
Well, like, he's talking about soul needing saving. I almost wonder if that's, like, acknowledging that he's, like, dedicated to this cause, and, like, maybe he needs saving to become, like, normal, but doesn't necessarily. Does that make sense?
That's definitely an interpretation. It's like, it's because he's in it, and he's sort of been bought and sold, so he's taken it because it's the life given it to him. But he's still having, whether it's a moment of clarity or a constant understanding that he does need to be saved from this, and that this is a dark way to go down.
Yeah, although not necessarily. I don't know. I'm struggling with describing what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Somebody gotta save my soul.
So he's not talking about the soles of his shoes. I'll tell you, I'll help by narrowing our possibilities.
Yeah, so his shoes are on fire because I think he stepped in napalm?
Napalm, yeah, so his heart's leaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go with what you said because I'm off base a little bit.
Okay, well, if you find your base again, because the pre-chorus does change here as well.
It does.
We get different details in there, but it is always violent. And it's, like, in this one, you don't get a ton of it until Baby Detonate for me, but the other ones have a little more aggression. What things that are both aggressive and sexual. The pre-chorus is aggressive and sexual, and it is about trying to find salvation.
Yeah.
That's, if you want to generalize it a bit more, if you don't want to go as specific, that's...
I guess, then what would you say the song considers to be salvation?
Well, knowing what Iggy has said and knowing what we're looking at, a runaway son of the nuclear A-bomb, the world's forgotten boy, he would like to be remembered, I suppose, for one. Mm-hmm. And to not maybe be of this violent lineage. He's the runaway son of the nuclear bomb. He wants to escape the path of search and destruction.
So his salvation is being accepted, perhaps, but also not necessarily playing into the system.
Yeah, but ironically, his only way out of the system of searching and destroying is destruction. Baby Detonate for me.
Right. Okay. Yes, I like that.
Let's look to verse 2. Look out, honey, 'cause I'm using technology. And got time to make no apology. Soul radiation in the dead of night. Love in the middle of a firefight.
Yeah. Do you think that last line is the basis for, like, most of Metal Gear Solid?
I, like, figured out where you were going with the question as you said it, because I was like, that's where my mind's going. Yeah. Do you think love can bloom even on the battlefield?
Yeah, think that one line, he's like, I'm gonna make a game about this.
Yeah. Hideo Kojima's like, let's find out.
Love
Yeah,
can bloom
dude.
on the battlefield.
That's what we've discovered. Look out, honey, because I'm using technology. A line so great that it's been used in several advertisements to advertise things that have technology.
Things that have technology. Yeah, very like general line.
Yeah.
I think I stole this from the Genius annotation, but what they're saying is because they're talking about weaponry specifically, but he's kind of depersonalized it and just calls it using technology. But in this case, using technology is just like killing people.
Yeah, we're talking military tech. I think that is an accurate... Because we've already kind of talked about his dehumanization as the world's forgotten boy. Like, the world's forgotten that he is a person, basically. And now, even the act of killing someone, which, one, horrific, too, but, like, can still be a human act, right? We've now dehumanized that part of our nature as well.
Right, because the technology... And this was, like, pre-drone strikes, too. So
yeah.
But, I mean, I guess if you look at, like, the napalm... Googling it and looking up images, they're like, it'll be like a boat on the river shooting this flaming goo onto the mainland.
And you're destroying homes, you're destroying wildlife, you're just everything.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't even look the person in the eye that you're killing. Back in my day, when you were killing a man, you had to look him in the eye.
Look him in the eye. Shake his hand.
I know, that's foolish, but like... When you take out that layer and then ain't got time to make no apology, that Genius annotation brings up the like intense amount of civilian deaths during the Vietnam War, and like that's also he's saying is like, listen, we're using tech, so you get out of the fucking way or die, because that's the new way. And
it's more of a disconnect, because like there's no time to think about what you've done. There's no time to address it in any way. You just have to keep going.
Mm-hmm. It's
and then in terms of, I mean, the local, the not like war thing, you're talking about this violent mindset of like, that's the way you live your life, you know, as opposed to specifically war fighting.
Yeah. I'm using technology, ain't got time to make no apology. Yeah, he's talking about everybody looking at their damn phones all the time.
Or at least being disconnected from, like, being forced into violence and being disconnected from...
Yeah, and being disconnected from community, which, unfortunately a line that hits probably harder today than even during that time. Like you mentioned, drone strikes, and like I mentioned, these damn phones!
These damn phones all the time. Well, there's some shit going on in the 70s, too. Especially with those damn phones!
Those phones! Everybody's calling each other!
Oh, man.
Soul radiation in the dead of night, Alex?
Another cool line. What does it mean?
What does it mean? Genius thinks it refers to solar radiation, which I get the concept of that, because
like, what would it mean then?
Yeah, what does it mean? It's just like, opposites, because then like love in the middle of the firefight is like the focus opposite. Solar radiation being to prep us for this much bigger idea. But I don't think that's it.
No, I mean, I do think it's radiation in the sense of like nuclear radiation, you know, not just like radiating. Because you could, I mean, the other, like you're talking about a soul radiating, that could be a positive image. Not in this context, but like...
Yeah, is that, he's just talking about fucking...
Say, like, my soul is radiant. Like, that sounds nice. That
you look radiant, you're glowing. Like,
yeah. But, like, radiation in the sense of, like, you're destroying things. Like, your very soul is destroying things, but also tearing itself apart. Like, that's kind of what radiation is.
Yeah. Right, and radiation, typically, radiation itself, like when we use that word and not like, you're radiating or you're glowing or whatever, like that has negative connotations. So, like, your toxic soul is also spreading. Is that perhaps it, even at the dead of night when you're perhaps supposed to be sleeping or maybe can't sleep because your soul is radiating, and what does that feel like that?
Or nothing's going on, you're just destroying the things around you just by...
Yeah, in the dead of night.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the darkest night of the soul. Maybe that's soul radiation in the dead night. Dark night of soul. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's a point on like a story cycle or something like that.
Yeah, I believe so. Where it's like it's also like, I think maybe like I've heard it used for more like not story purposes, but like psychology.
Okay.
Dark Night of the Soul is a phrase of passive purification of the spirit in the mystical development as described by the 16th century Spanish mystic and poet St. John of the Cross.
Oh, it's
So it's
Christian
more
mysticism.
religious, and it's Christian mysticism at that.
Christicism.
In modern times, the phrase dark night of the soul has taken on the broader meaning of spiritual dryness and existential doubt and loneliness. So I think I was thinking of that more modern context when I'm applying that.
Existential doubt and loneliness.
Yeah.
And
Because of these damn phones,
damn phones. Well, if we're talking about existential doubt and loneliness, then I think that ties into the next line pretty well. I mean, the song, in the pre-choruses at least, talks about, like, he's addressing someone else, right? And it sounds like he's addressing a significant other in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, baby.
Right.
Perhaps suggesting in that Love in the Middle of a Firefight song that, like, that's basically the only way you can form any relationships, because there's essentially, you know, explosions all around, metaphorically. So, like, the only way to form relationships is in the middle of war, essentially.
Yeah, and presumably with the person you are warring with. He's not talking really about, like, camaraderie here. He's talking about
it's kind of every person
loving the
for
alien,
themselves.
or, like, loving the enemy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if that's the way to end the war, perhaps.
But it's like, I think he's talking in a more twisted sense that it can only come out in this context.
Because that
you kind of hinted at the idea that he was like with a whole heart searching and destroying, like he had bought into this idea,
right?
And it may more be that he has been molded into this idea against his will, but is still, like, if you get your hand formed into a club instead of a hand, it's still a club regardless of how much you know that it should be a hand, right?
Right.
It's a strange metaphor, I know.
I accepted it.
It's not a regular thing that happens. Like, I could have gone with foot binding, which is a real thing that happens, but
no, I like the hand club.
Hand club, because then we come into this next pre-chorus, is maybe where I'm arguing this, because he says,
Sure.
Honey, gotta strike me blind. Somebody gotta save my soul. Baby, penetrate my mind. He is asking to be blinded,
right,
and to have his mind basically eradicated, or at least changed in some extreme fashion.
I mean, in the, like, extreme sense, like, blow his brains out, you know?
Yeah, penetrate my mind, fucking destroy me.
Is that the only way, is to destroy his self?
Yeah, if I am built to search and destroy, then perhaps destruction is the ultimate end.
Yeah.
So please, if you would show love to me, do it in these ways.
And I mean, perhaps part of the question is of, like, how can I be saved? Could be, I mean, there's the metaphorical sense, but a more literal sense of, like, is death the only way out?
Right.
Is a question that could be asked for sure.
Yeah, and there's also like my purpose given to me from my quote unquote father, or whatever, is to be a soldier in this fight, whether it is literally in Vietnam or here in America doing just, isolating and all that. It's like, so to fulfill my ultimate purpose, I must at some point be destroyed, even as I seek to destroy. It's looking for your other half in a strange, like, violent sense.
And perhaps destroying the bad parts, but also
like a sort of Fight Club style ending where he shoots himself in the head, but it only kills Tyler Durden. Sorry, Fight Clubbers, if you haven't seen the film yet or read the book. Yeah, like maybe this is a song about a sort of broken person or a broken ideology, I think, at its core. And so here we deal with that. What is love in the middle of a firefight? Can you be saved by being blinded and penetrated in the mind? Also penetrate like a boner.
Yeah. Penetrate, another term often used sexually.
Yeah. Look at that.
Wow. How about that pre-chorus?
Next unique piece of dialogue we get is hey 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 hey.
Hey 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 hey. Is that the only unique line?
Yeah, because he uses the honey gotta strike me blind again, and that's the chorus, forgotten boy.
Verse.
Baby baby babe hey. Yeah,
hey,
aw
hey.
baby baby. Changes things, makes you think.
Yeah. Hey 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 hey. He says. Yeah, but
yes.
those are the words.
So yeah, Search and Destroy hits much like a heart full of napalm.
Yeah, it's about an experience of perhaps being lower class and being probably mad at society or whatever.
Yeah, I think being mad at the upper class and their what he calls, shoveling shit down your throat or selling shit to the youth. He's sick of this shit.
Perhaps wondering if there's a way out.
Yeah. Yeah, devastating song. Sounds cool as hell. What does it sound like? Guitars, baby.
Cool. Oh yeah, guitars. Well, we could I think address the production here.
Yes.
A little bit, because there's some interesting stories around that.
There's some interesting production facts.
Yeah, so the original mix, and when I say this is before it came out, was done by Iggy Pop. Apparently he didn't do a very good job. And he may have screwed some stuff up. So they called in David Bowie and said, hey, can you fix this, basically. That's my understanding of the story. And so he tells a story where there were 3 tracks. Like, they had a 24-track recorder, but they were only using 3 tracks. One track was vocals, one track was lead guitar, and the other track was rhythm, guitar, bass, and drums. So that's the story. He had those 3 tracks to work with, and it did not turn out that well. So the original cut of the album is not considered to be mixed very well at all. That's the David Bowie mix.
Right.
Although, since then, it has been shown that there exists a master recording that has all the instruments on separate tracks. So there's some fuzziness about what was he referring to, why was he given that? Was he given, what happened?
Yeah, what did they give him if there's a master recording?
Exactly. So, what
existed?
Why did it turn out the way it did? It sounds like probably there was, someone fucked something up and there was some miscommunications. It was 1973 and, no one knew what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, nobody was sober. So
I would not be surprised if it's just, a clusterfuck, right?
Yeah.
But that's, the story of the original recording. And then in, I think, 97 or so, late 90s, Iggy Pop and Bruce Dickinson, apparently, of Iron Maiden, went back and remixed it. So the version that I put on this playlist, the version we listened to, was the Iggy mix from 97.
Right, but remastered by the looks of it. It says 20.
And then remastered since then.
Yeah.
So I actually have this record, this on vinyl, and it's 2 discs. Ooh. One is the Bowie mix and one is the Iggy mix, which I think is the 50th anniversary version.
Sure.
No, it couldn't be. I bought it too early, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, 50th would be this year.
Yeah, so it was not the 50th anniversary.
Gotta be 40th? 45th?
Maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway.
39th?
But listening to them side by side is quite interesting. The David Bowie version has, no low end at all. Which kind of makes sense based on, if he was only given those 3 tracks smushed together, and he decided that we needed to hear the rhythm guitar more than the drum and bass. Yeah, that kind of makes sense that he might.
Right. Yeah, he had to make some choices.
Yeah. So, but it does. I think I don't know them that intimately, but just quick listening to them. Yeah. There's apparently more separation between the instruments on the Bowie mix, but less low end. And then if you listen to this one, this Iggy mix, you really get that lower end, and it's kind of crunchier because of that, and kind of smushes things together a little more. But it feels very aggressive because of it. So I ended up picking the Iggy mix for this, and I think it's the one I prefer.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense that way, and especially if you look at it as a piece of proto-punk and proto-grunge. That messiness, that melding together in that way is sometimes a staple of the genre, right? Mm-hmm. It's meant to sound hard, and you're not meant to pick apart each instrument and be oh my, the rhythm guitar is doing this, while the bass does this. It's not for that. It's to hear and you go, yeah, fuck yeah.
And yet, that is what we're going to do.
And we're about to do that here. So you'll notice that the rhythm guitar on this track.
This track is very chunky.
Well, it's quite chunky.
No, it's cool. It's a cool riff right off the start. It's the rhythm guitar. You get that and then there's kind of 2 parts of it, because there's that part that's smoother, where the chords can ring out, and then the other part where it just gets super fuzzy and kind of chugs. I don't know if it's the same guitar or if they're just like doing something with fuzz, but I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it's
sounds pretty awesome.
sounds pretty fucking rad. And then you get this, like, the classic riff on this is that dun 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 bam 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 bam.
Sure.
And that is apparently inspired by Machine Guns. So this is like the lyrics on this.
Fire.
Yeah, the lyrics on this are by Iggy Pop, but I guess a lot of the songwriting is James Williamson, the guitarist.
Right, who was brought on for this album, I believe.
Yeah, well, he talks about the songwriting process in a 2013 interview with Song Facts. He said, "Well, I had come up with that kind of bum 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 a little bit, but it was more in regard to imitating a machine gun, if you will, because this is the era of the Vietnam War. So we're kind of screwing around with that, and that's where that figure comes from. Then the rest of the song was around that, but I think the beginning, the bum 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 part, was the thing that really kicked off the song."
Yeah. So is that lead guitar part then that you're referring to? That kind of rips in?
Yeah, that part that not the shredding part.
Okay.
Just straight up the part where everything gets kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Like even the tone says
right. Yes.
But I guess that is where the lead guitar rips in as well. You're right.
Yes. That happens as well. Also cool sound. And so that other guitar in the higher register plays during that fuzzy section, and then it kind of goes back to the smoother chords. Back and forth.
Yeah.
Intro. And I think you said this in the intro, the drums are all fills and cymbals.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's happening here.
That's a lot of just fills and cymbals. It's wild, it's aggressive. Sounds fucking great. And this is like their only song apparently to feature a pre-chorus, according to Iggy Pop.
Only a song ever?
Well, let's see here. So he says, so he recalls to Clash Magazine the making of the song. The funny part about it was until I convinced him to step back a little and ease up on the thing, what James brought in was 4 times as fast and twice as heavy. It was two of the parts in the song, the 2 fastest parts. There are 4 basic building blocks, and when he did it, there were just the 2. When he did it, they just went over and over, faster and faster. I sort of said, "Look, can we make a new part that's just like part 2, but in halftime?" So he went, "Okay," and that became our chorus. Then I asked him for something which you'll never hear on another Stooges record, something that approximates what professional songwriters call a pre-chorus. That's the part where I'm singing Love in the middle of a firefight. And after that, the build-up where I say somebody's got to save my soul, baby penetrate my mind, that's a pre-chorus where you actually downshift and then you heighten the tension through building the chords so that there's a release. So that was about the closest I got to getting any of these guys to rock school. That one has more typical songwriting structure in it, which is probably why it gets the most attention. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's there. It's interesting. Like you mentioned, he referred to he said "Love in the middle of a firefight." It's also used for the "I'm the World's Forgotten Boy." So it's kind of what is, at least on Genius, the end of the verse. But it does feel like a different section, right? Because the verse is kind of split in half in that way. You get a faster riff on the guitar, and it's less fuzzy.
That's right. Yeah, because you've really got your first section, which is like the alternating of and the big like open chords, and then you jump into that World's Forgotten Boy section, which is a little different. Get some real crunchy chords, and then you like downshift even further into the "Somebody's Got to Help Me Please," and that shifts the tension up into your chorus.
Yeah, and then it doesn't go into the chorus; it goes into verse 2 instead.
That's right. A classic AABA situation.
Yeah. I do like that pre-chorus, the "Honey Gotta Help Me Please" bit. Get kind of the arpeggio in the guitar. Cool sound. Yeah, it's called arpeggio. I guess it's more like strumming chords and then kind of like like.
Yeah, there's like a touch of an arpeggio.
Yeah,
in there,
it just plays like a run between chords, I guess, more than anything. It's so many cymbals.
So many cymbals, dude.
The drum sounds interesting on this because it's very like flat.
Yeah.
It's very like you hit the drum and it's and like that's it. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because it's old. Probably because the recording, as it sounds.
Yeah, this may be the results of fucked up recording.
But
All of Iggy Pop's discarded shirts were muffling the drums.
I mean, it's definitely not a polished recording session.
Certainly not.
That adds to the sound for sure.
Yeah, it's good and gnarly. It's of course when you think about like punk rock today and like things that come after this sounds pretty squeaky clean in comparison to some things, but
I guess in terms of things that are like on purpose, like let's do it lo-fi and like fuck
just
everything
like
up.
really fucking gnarly. But
yeah,
so it's still funny to look at this and be like, yeah, it's kind of a quaint piece of punk rock, certainly proto-punk in that sense. Like
yes, prototypical.
Hasn't picked up on all the gnarly shit that had come to pass. Like
yeah, because it hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah, these guys were blazing a trail.
Yeah. Second verse.
Sorry. Second verse, same as the first. I was going to say there's like a guitar solo that comes up, but that's after the second verse.
So. I only bring up the second verse because, I mean, mostly they just get louder. Like the guitar's louder, and then Iggy is singing a bit harder. That's kind of most of their build there. I should probably also mention Iggy Pop's vocals, which this sounds quite different from what I would like associate with Iggy Pop. Because he's not singing like I'm a passenger.
Yeah, he goes for a much deeper register when he gets his own name on.
And like more of like a Lou Reed style delivery too.
For sure, yeah.
Where this is not that. Although I saw him perform this in 2011 or so. I mean, I saw a video of him performing it.
Okay, I was like, what the fuck?
Did you say Iggy Pop? No. Just watched it yesterday. And like he was singing like that, more or less. It's just not necessarily what he does when he's solo.
Right, he kind of just found his own, because this performance, it's good, but I could see other musicians doing this, whereas when I think of, like The Passenger and shit like that, it's a little more like, oh yeah, that's Iggy, this deep-voiced kind of creepy guy.
Yeah, a little more idiosyncratic as compared to this.
Yeah. So yeah, that second verse, like you said, jumping up in a little bit of intensity of singing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty like he kind of said, it's like pretty standard songwriting structure. So yeah, we go from that chorus that comes after the verse into a guitar solo.
Yeah, is that the like hey hey heys?
That's the hey hey section.
It's like a guitar solo bridge section. I did count it. It's 8 bars, but I don't know if it's a middle 8 if it's actually serving as a bridge, or can you be both? Maybe.
Well, middle 8 is B to B, right, or A to A. It's got to serve to the same section.
So I guess it's not then.
Chorus to verse, so it's technically not a middle 8.
It's acting as a bridge.
It's acting as a bridge.
That's for sure.
And yeah, we repeat, like, the song is so simple that we're already repeating a verse here. It's in 2 verses. We're doing the second verse again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of repetition in that. I couldn't even tell if it's different from the second verse.
I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah, like there were definitely times I was trying to compare. I'm like, they could have just recorded this part once and then repeated it.
Yeah, and they'd have been fine. Nobody would have noticed.
And maybe they did, but I couldn't find. Maybe there's a difference. I don't know.
Maybe. But certainly the outro they do for the last 45 seconds here.
Mm-hmm.
Where we start getting some shredding going on.
Yeah, that's some fun guitar.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
A lot of arpeggios. Fast arpeggios.
Yeah.
I also like how like seamless it goes from the chorus into that outro. I don't.
Yeah, it is, because the only thing that really guides us there is that guitar.
Yeah.
Which has already been kind of fucking around in verses and stuff beforehand. So it's a pretty natural slip where it's just like, oh, now the guitar is going off the rails here. And then the vocals start going too. Hey, baby, hey. You know, all those key lyrics.
Yeah, ad-libby stuff. He's just like screaming about whatever.
Yeah.
He's the forgotten boy, forgotten boy, forgotten boy.
Forgotten boy.
Boy.
It's your forgotten boy.
Hey. Hey, 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 hey. It's your forgotten boy. That's this song.
That's this song.
And what's that supposed to mean? Lots. Yeah. Okay.
Lots. Yeah, good note, Alex.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. I scrolled down too far. What am I even looking at? Yeah, the outro. Lots of big, heavy guitar and screaming.
Sure.
And then that's it. That's the song. It's a good song.
That's the song, baby. Yeah, it dies out. Great song. We've got some cover versions to talk about, though.
Oh, we sure do.
Starting out with Jared Louche and the Aliens in 1999.
I'm a street walking cheetah with a heart full of napalm. I'm the runaway son of the nuclear A-bomb.
Yeah, he's an artist associated with another band I don't know
ChemLab.
called ChemLab. Apparently they're industrial rock.
I believe that. Judging off of his cover album, his debut solo album called CoverGirl.
Called CoverGirl. It was kind of weird on Spotify. This is CoverGirl unreleased, but like
Fuck.
there's no CoverGirl released. It's just unreleased and then instrumental.
Okay, so maybe those are some of the things is like the instrumental cuts.
Yeah, but there's no option for like I don't know. So I don't know if this actually came out in 99 or not.
Okay, I think I read. I don't know if this version did CoverGirl unreleased, but the album itself, I think, did come out in 1999 because this is his debut album. The aliens aren't real, from what I can grasp.
Yeah, this is like just his solo thing, and the aliens are just whatever band.
Yeah, it was 1999, and you had to find a way to make your name pop. Nobody's just gonna buy Jared Louche.
Yeah, what's a Louche anyway?
Yeah,
most boring sport in the Winter Olympics. Am I right?
God,
Jared.
I won't have you slander Cool Runnings like that on this podcast, Alex.
No shade to Cool Runnings. Bobsled's great. Luge?
Oh, I guess luge are luge is no sled, right?
Full of lugers. Luges.
Okay, yeah, you can slander
luges
luge
when you're on your back and skeletons when you're on your front.
Okay. What about if I'm on my side? That's how I sleep.
Yeah, that's just a pose. You're just striking a pose.
You're striking a pose. Cool. Yeah. All right, Alex, what's going on with Jared Louche?
What is going on with this guy? I mean, we talked about he's got some of that industrial in there.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like the cover, he's got like a cowboy hat on and stuff. It almost seems like he's going for like a country thing, which it's not really, but it has a slightly more organic sound. Particularly like the drums sound like they might be electronic, but a bit more organic sounding.
Yeah, and he does, like, he spreads them out across the channels here, so you're getting them, like, left, right, and center. Mm-hmm. And it is a big percussive intro. I wouldn't call it country, but I wouldn't call it industrial either.
No, but there seems to be some of that there, particularly with, like, the beat that he's using.
Oh, yeah, and his vocals that come in, like, they're coming in through a fucking PA speaker.
Yeah, there is that. They play the rhythm, like that which might be on the bass in the original. I couldn't hear the bass in the original, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But, like, they play the bass. They play that part on the bass. Like, the fuzz-filled, the riff you're talking about. The really fuzzy part.
Boom, 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 boom.
And it's on the bass now.
It's, of course, toned down. And then you get, after, like, between lines, this farty-ass synth.
Farty-ass synth. Yeah, there's a lot of synth. That are kind of in that lower mid-range. And then
so that's your, like industrial influence.
But there's more overall, kind of just like a lot more layers. So like there's several vocal tracks. So like you're doubling on the lead, and then like with the harmony, and then one of the parts is a little different. Like you were saying, that's very filtered, but like that's kind of one of the vocal tracks.
Yeah.
And then quite a few synths. I wish I had described them here because that would have been.
Well, we've got the farting synth.
The farting one. One that might be a very distorted guitar and it's playing like high. So, and then there's also a very low one, which might just be the bass.
Yeah, I think that is just the bass.
Very, very distorted bass, right?
Yeah.
And then other effects like there's this bit crushing sound on the chorus, and then also I think in one of the verses. So there's a lot of stuff like that. And then when he says technology, his voice goes all metallic.
That's right.
Using technology. Like a robot.
Yeah, like he's a robot.
So this one,
get like some big drum hits and stuff.
A lot more effects like that.
It's like more edgy than it is like energetic. It trades in all the energy for edge.
For edge, yeah, and a lot of distortion and sounds. But it's 99. Yeah. It's industrial. or
Yeah.
inspired at least by that. So
Yeah, for some reason he couldn't do this with ChemLab, so
yeah, maybe they broke up. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Chem Lab. What else? There's one lyrical change I think that I noticed where he says, "Honey, gotta strike a match."
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
Instead of "strike me blind," which I think fits in with the sort of explosion, fiery.
Yeah, I get
thing.
like my heart's full of napalm. Strike a match.
But it's kind of the opposite of what he's requesting. Well, not necessarily. It works, I think, because he's talking about exploding or destruction of the self, and striking a match, if his heart is full of napalm.
Yeah, and he's also asking them to detonate, so like strike a match to blow yourself up. Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of crunch and noise on this.
Yeah, as we move to the end especially, lots of noise. All the like very distorted things that came in before are all just mixing together.
Yeah, it's wee. All this other stuff going on.
Lots of stuff. And then it kind of cuts down at the end. And then he says like destroy a lot, and there's like this distorted guitar.
Yeah, and this
Yeah, so that's kind of the outro there. So yeah, that's its sound. It's another very busy recording.
Yeah,
with a lot of effects and synths and stuff.
Yeah, to provide that like crunch and that, but also to make it sound a little more modern, a little more industrial.
Yeah, and it's got a decent like intensity curve there, and then kind of drops off at the end, which is a pretty common thing in the outro. But it's still fairly like distorted and stuff in the outro. It's just less of it.
Yeah, it's not a bad take, honestly.
And layered.
It's layered.
Yeah.
There's many layers to this. It's like an onion.
It's like an onion. It's like a onion. Alien. Yeah.
But you know what onions go good with?
Wait.
Hang on. Okay, sure.
Right at the end, he says, "Coming back to my place, I'll show you destruction."
That's right. He does say
and that's
that.
the only other thing I had to say about it.
It's about sex.
Can't forget that bit. Very important line.
You know what else could be sexual? A band called Corn Doggy Dog and the Half Pound.
Yeah.
2001.
I'm a runaway son of a nuclear A-bomb. I am the world's forgotten lord, the one who searches.
Corn Doggy Dog and the Half Pound. Why is this on this playlist? Probably just the name
alone.
Probably the name.
Yeah, I would say that's probably correct. So, Corn Doggy Dog and the Half Pound, interesting. I could only find the one guy from it, the Z-Man.
Okay. I couldn't find like anything on these guys. I found some live recordings that looked like someone just took on their phone.
Yeah, I've seen those as well, or at least one. So
a little better than phone.
The Z-Man was originally like I don't know if he was an opener or like a hype man for Sublime.
Oh, yeah, I think that checks out.
And then he did this band with Corn Doggy Dog and the Half Pound being made up of members of another band called the Falling Idols. Then eventually his friend dies of a heroin overdose, and he becomes an inspirational speaker for getting off of drugs, and is also maybe sometimes a stand-up comic.
Oh man, I'm glad you found those details, because I didn't.
Yeah, it took a little digging, but I had his full name for some reason, didn't write it down.
He's the Z-Man.
He's the Z-Man. He's like, I think it's like Todd something. Let me try Todd Z-Man.
Zimmerman.
Todd Z-Man Zalkins.
Zalkins.
Yeah.
That's a cool last name.
Got a documentary called The Long Way Back. That's the story of Todd Z-Man Zalkins.
Wow.
2017. He breaks a 17-year addiction and begins helping others who struggle with drug abuse. So that's his story.
Cool.
Also, he was in this punk rock band that sometimes still performs.
Corn Doggy Dog and the Half Pound.
Perhaps the most interesting thing about this is brought up in that Iggy Pop quote I read, where he's like, I had to tell James Williamson to slow the fuck down. Where, like, you listen to this, and this is faster, and that, like, from a punk rock perspective, makes more sense.
I guess from, like, what we think of, how we think of punk rock now, for sure.
Yeah. Because I, like, listened to this, I was like, nothing's really changed.
No.
And I listened to the original, I was like, the original's kind of slow. So it is like just picking up the tempo on this does a lot for the song, but not enough to really differentiate.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, the increased tempo didn't do a whole lot for me.
Fair enough.
And I, didn't get much out of this version. It's very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Without
the live version they
of
did
being like novel and old. Yeah, in the live version. I don't know. It to me is just a slightly more generic version.
A more generic, because you're right. Now that it's also adopting more punk staples,
yeah, it's using the established sound of punk rock. Whereas before it didn't exist. So
right.
I don't have a whole lot else to say about it than that.
No, well,
I think they say handful of napalm.
Okay, that's not a good place for it.
No.
Also, much less cool.
Much less cool.
I guess it maybe is more active. Like a heartful of napalm is more poetic, whereas like a handful is like I'm gonna whip some napalm.
Whip some napalm at you. That's probably still not. You probably shouldn't touch it.
Yeah, it should be in some kind of contained.
I don't know what the MSDS says about napalm, but I imagine you shouldn't touch it.
I've been asking at my work where we keep it. Nobody's letting me know.
Trying to remember, to bring up Fight Club again, isn't there a bit where like you can make napalm by like mixing kitty litter and orange juice or something like that?
Oh yeah, something like that.
I don't even remember what it is.
It's probably something to do with soap, right? Because it makes soap, but then it's like soap. You add soap to cornflakes.
Yeah,
napalm, maybe like something like that.
You think you're gonna get clean cornflakes? You're getting the frosting off your flakes? No, you're making napalm. Anyway, so this version will take the frosting right off your flakes. But
that's a fact. We should talk here briefly because you did have a massive playlist full of like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Soundgarden was on.
Yeah,
here.
I should have left one of those on.
Yeah, some behemoths, but I imagine they were all in a sense similar to this. Played very straightforward.
They were pretty straightforward. It would have been more identity, right? Because when you get a band at that level, usually they have established a certain identity and sound for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it was, but it was pretty close.
Yeah.
Other than the Red Hot Chili Peppers one was from like a Beavis and Butthead special.
That's
so at the end, Beavis and Butthead come out and they're like, I'll search and destroy, So like, or whatever. So it's like
the whole album of this apparently.
Yeah.
And I wonder
they were a big deal.
They were a big deal. But there was a Kid Cudi album. Not Passion Painted.
Speed and Bullet to Heaven?
Yeah, Speed and Bullet to Heaven, where he includes Beavis and Butthead like skits throughout the course of the album. And I wonder if that is directly inspired by this same album that had a Red Hot Chili Peppers version of Search and Destroy on it.
I mean, they got to be related in some way.
Because there was big artists on that. It was like Metallica and Red Hot Chili
at the
Peppers.
time, MTV had pretty good pull, and Beavis and Butthead were pretty popular. As I understand, this is before my time.
Right. But, so that's our roundup of straightforward covers, represented here by Corn Doggy Dog and the Half Pound. Let's get a little less straightforward. Let's get a little more Swedish. Let's get Sophia in 2008.
Let's get Sophia.
I'm a straight walking cheetah with a heart for napalm. I'm a runaway son of a nuclear.
And wanna be her. Who sings that song?
Blondie?
Okay, cool.
Maria.
Right on. Cool, Alex.
Yeah, it's a Blondie song.
All I found on her until I found there was a music video is that she smiles and plays the guitar.
Yeah, and sometimes sings in Greek because she likes it.
That's fun.
Because she went to Greece one time and she thought it was pretty cool.
I think Greek people are disappointed when they watch the musical Grease.
Watch the musical Grease, they're like, hang on a minute. I don't know
if they call it Greece there.
No, it's because Greece, like the actual name for Greece is like the Hellenic Republic or something like that.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's kind of like Germans be like, hey, you get, I don't know, because they call themselves like Deutsch or whatever.
Deutsch,
right? Like Deutschland. I think it is, I don't know how much like that it is though. I don't know if the term Greek is used in Greece. I would have to look that up. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I don't know. But the weird thing is, I do know that when they brought the musical Greece over to Greece, the nation, that they did call it the Hellenistic Republic instead.
Yeah.
Which is the title.
Yeah, and it was very confusing.
It's very confusing.
Because they had to change the song in the start, and there's just too many syllables.
The Hellenistic Republic is the word.
It's the word. Because it's not even one word anymore.
No, it's the phrase.
Yeah, so...
But we're actually talking about a Swedish singer, from my understanding.
Swedish singer. I mean, just searching Sofia. How am I supposed
easy.
to find this?
Yeah,
But
how am I
yes,
supposed to find this?
it's the Swedish singer, Sofia, and she, I think, I don't know, she's been singing for a while. She's got songs, right? Like, I don't know
songs.
about her, but she has not been in Eurovision, but she has auditioned or whatever.
She's
a couple
seen
times.
Eurovision, yeah.
Yeah, she watched it one time. I know I haven't.
She thought the concept was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then said something in Greek, and then that was it.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun, because it's fun.
So this is like, you know, the TV, we often talk about the TV or like cinematic version of a song,
Oh, yeah?
and that's kind of like a two-part structure where it's like structure. I'm
Structure.
talking like a Swiss person now. No, I'm kidding. They don't talk like that. But there's like the two-part structure where it's like start out a little moody, a little soft, and a little like there's a one drum that echoes, doom, duh,
Yep.
doom, duh, and a little tense guitar, and then you would break on the chorus, get big drum, and do all that, and be like, "I'm search and destroy." This does the first half without the second half.
Yeah, it really is just, like, very soft throughout.
Yeah, soft and moody.
And slows it down, too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good overall description of this version.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's also got like some layered synth chords with like really filtered drums. Kind of, it stays filtered,
Yeah.
right? The filter becomes less as it goes on, but it stays low down, and you get that
Yeah.
guitar and like more synth. There's, I think, a guy with like an organ going.
Yeah, that boo doo 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 doo.
You can see him in the music video.
They also claim to have a double bass in the music video, so let's
yeah, okay, fair enough.
be cautious
like,
of what we believe.
Yeah. So like, and a few more synth production. So like, you get this arpeggiated synth. There's a string synth filling out that space, and that's its thing. It's more like a smooth build up, and she's singing very, very softly.
Yeah, really chewing up words like napalm and nuclear.
I think like it's less like intense, of course, than the original, because they try to make it soft. But I think they do a pretty decent job of maintaining a certain level of tension, which is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Instead, like, it works. It doesn't. It has some decent sounds in it. It doesn't necessarily do all that much interesting, but I do think it sounds decent overall.
I think both this one and the music video suffer from the same issue, is that there is no. And maybe I'm just a dummy and I'm like, oh, this needs a climax of some kind. But it doesn't have to be big and explosive. It could be like fall apart and dirty nasty, right? Like
dirty nasty.
We take away the instruments and it's just your vocals or something. But it needs to move forward in some direction, I feel, because it just kind of lingers here in tension. Without any release of tension, we're left unresolved.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the release necessary for tension to be valid? Maybe, honestly.
Maybe. I mean,
because like, how can you know what it is without contrast? And the video has a lot, or not enough contrast, or too much contrast.
The video, yeah. Well, you're talking about like the lighting. Yeah, the video's got some issues. I'm not quite ready to jump there yet. Because I will say, like you said, she sings good. She's got a nice voice for this.
Yep.
The instruments themselves, good tones, good use of like echoing, good filling of the space. But in terms of like what this provides versus what the original provides, which is the story of a person who has become a weapon and needs to explode, this doesn't give me that same like, and it doesn't smolder, because there's like the explosive version of this, and then you could do the smoldering version of this, which this could maybe be, but it doesn't quite hit that yet either.
Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, the video kind of tries to pick that.
Yeah,
I think.
So let's talk about that video,
Yeah.
Alex.
So I'll address the lighting thing first. This video's not black and white, but they sort of try to style it as black and white because most of the things are black and white. The shadows are very dark and also very flat.
Yes.
So like anything in shadow is like black and like there's no detail or
it's like
very
when people
little.
complained about that House of Dragons episode because it was too dark to see, and then they're like, "Oh, it's supposed to be too dark to see." It's like, well, you made a bad
okay,
episode.
that's a bad choice.
You did a bad thing. But this one's more visible than that. But you're right, yeah, like flat shadows, something's in darkness, it's out. It seems like it's trying to set up some kind of like class struggle in the first like 3 minutes of the song.
In that, because it's like in this like kind of 50s diner styled area.
50 diners, grungy back alley,
or like back room. So like it's got like the tiles in like square pattern, like diamond pattern, but also the paint's chipped and they're all these like what are those long bulb lights called?
Oh, like fluorescent
lights.
Yeah. And then,
it seems like a neglected area. But then the people you see like the guy sitting by himself drinking is kind of dumpy looking and like...
Yeah, he's like your real classic punk figure. He's got the kind of spiked out hair. He's drinking like a Heineken or something. He's wearing a leather jacket.
And you see like couples who are maybe a little better dressed together and stuff
you see the bald like businessman with a blonde lady who seem to be very upper crust.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got like a guy with a bandana on, like a very like Hell's Angel-esque character, and then some like another couple who's like not high class for sure, but they're not necessarily as like gutter punk as these other people,
right?
And then our sweet Swedish woman Sofia is brought up to the quote unquote stage, the sort of checkered floor area with her Backstreet Boys
she's just
ass
kind of
backing band,
getting ready in the first bit, and then. Yeah, starts performing.
Yeah, she's getting lipsticked up. She starts performing. Things get a little louder there. And then we see, like, I feel like the tension is supposed to be between that rich couple and, like, the punk rock guy sitting drinking a beer.
Guy with the spiked hair. But there's not really anything that happens between them other than at one point he seems to get upset.
Yeah, and then you're
he
like...
smashes his beer.
Oh, he's going to walk over to them. But he walks over to Sofia.
And she, like, stops him. They like make eye contact.
Yeah, and
she sings at him.
And he realizes that he wasn't throwing his bottle down because he's mad, but because he loves this jam so fucking much.
Yeah, and it's got this kind of because that's the next bit, right? It's got this like kind of awkward looking sequence where I feel like it's not. Like they were kind of doing some camera trickery or attempting it that didn't quite work out.
They wanted to make it look like he was going to punch her. Crazy.
Yeah. But he actually just throws his fist up in the air and starts like jamming out.
Yeah, like a one-man mosh pit.
This song, which is pretty slow and not really a moshing song.
Yeah. And
but
also
anyway.
the bald businessman does get up when he smashes the bottle like he's going to go fight him.
Yeah, or like something's going to happen.
But then everybody just starts dancing, and then that's like the conclusion is that it's okay for us all to dance together to Search and Destroy by Iggy Pop and the Stooges.
Yeah, and then everyone is dancing, and like that's kind of the story. And like I don't quite get it.
No, it seems to miss the point, I think.
Like his punch.
Yeah, it's
which turns into a Mario jump.
Yeah, he goes, whoa,
whoa,
whoa. Actually, yeah, I see that. He goes for a second jump. There was a coin block above his head.
Yeah, he goes, ding. Yeah, subtle. It's a subtle detail in the video.
Subtle detail, It's
Easy
there for
miss.
the real fans. So yeah, everybody starts dancing, and then it's like, we solved classism.
Yeah, or something like that. So, anyway, I kind of see things they were going for, but I don't think it all comes together.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, the aesthetic's kind of cool, and like you get that like black and white look, but the blacks are kind of soft. Like as much as the black's all crushed, it could be darker too, and like the white's
more
not
like the
very
white and green look.
Yeah, so everything looks kind of green, and like I don't know if that aesthetic quite works for what, or maybe it's not supposed to look clean, which like fair enough, okay.
Yeah,
I get it. but also then like what's the story going on here? What's this guy doing?
There's like a disconnect, like with both parts of this project, the music and the video. They're disconnected from each other a bit, and I think disconnected themselves from their own ideas.
Yeah.
Like they just don't quite land the punches that I think they were going for. And combined, they definitely don't land it. But you can see that there's gears turning at the Sofia factory here. So I do like that part of it.
Yeah. There's some good stuff here. Some good stuff here.
But I definitely
song
fall
can
short.
be done slow for sure.
Yeah. But speaking of green, there's a lot of green in the film Sucker Punch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the cover of this album.
Look at that cover there for
this original motion picture soundtrack.
Skunk and Nancy in 2011.
Skunk and Nancy.
So, named from the Akan folktales of Anansi, the spider god, with skunk added to, quote, make the name nastier.
Yeah, I heard it was also because, like, the band had black and white members.
Okay.
But I didn't see anything that supported that claim.
Well, their members also have rowdy names like Skin, Cass, Ace, and Mark Richardson.
Mark Richardson. So that's pretty cool. I think Mark Richardson joined later, so he didn't get a cool nickname.
He didn't get a anonymous name.
Yeah, they're a British rock band that's actually been, going since like the 90s. They broke up for a couple years, but they're pretty well regarded. Like, I don't really know them very well, but like they played at Nelson Mandela's 80th birthday. They headlined Glastonbury in 1999.
Nelson Mandela likes them.
Yeah,
they seem to like have been around the scene.
Yeah, Skin was given an OBE like 2 months, like last month or something, like recently.
Damn.
So like, yeah, they've been around and they're well regarded.
Yeah, and they show that well regard with some fucking bagpipe synth.
Which part is this? Like the start?
Almost off the bat here. So you get gunshots. Is this actually in the movie, or is it just part of the soundtrack?
It's in. Alex? I did watch the scene. I found the scene on YouTube. It is in the movie. So like the intro part. Okay, have you seen Sucker Punch?
Once, a long time ago.
I saw Sucker Punch. I've maybe seen it twice. Maybe. I don't remember.
Where's the consensus on it currently? Are we pro or anti Sucker Punch in 2023? It flip-flops.
I feel like I don't know if it's like strong enough to be worth a whole pro or anti, but I remember liking it back in the day, but I was also 17, so who knows?
Well,
it does have a reputation.
Does have a reputation. If that reputation is good at the moment, I love it, and I love the way it empowers women.
Love that movie.
If it's bad at the moment, I hate it, and I hate the way it sexualizes women. Thank you. I'll take no further questions.
So anyway, in the movie, there's like kind of, I guess, 3 layers. In the sense that, like, there's an asylum. She's in an asylum.
Right.
But sometimes goes to the fantasy world of it's a brothel, actually. And sometimes goes to the fantasy world of there's dragons and stuff. Or, like, robot Nazis and we're fighting them with swords and guns.
Right.
So this beginning of the song is, I think, in the brothel level. And then from there, that's the intro, the slow section with... Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it's just an organ. But it might be bagpipe synth.
Okay, yeah, I'll take organ.
Which, like, same thing, right? It's all pipes, man.
Yeah, it's all pipes.
It's all about laying pipe.
It's just about how much bag is involved.
Yeah, exactly. Just gotta regulate your bag, or not. And then, so the rest of the song is action scene of they fight. There's a dragon at some point. There's a lot of gun shooting.
So what happens so that's why some of these noises are in universe. We forgot to mention in the original, and because I couldn't hear it, but I did read a Song Facts quote about it, that there's a sword fight going on in the background at some point. Yeah,
what?
Dog. Yeah, dog.
Wow.
So this is from Song Facts. It says, listen with headphones and you might pick up the sound of swords clashing in the background. Pop explained in a 1999 interview with The Wire, quote, what I originally wanted was to get the sound of stomping boots, but we would have had to hire a drill team and that became problematic. So we tried having a sword fight to get a clanking sound instead.
I thought you were fucking with me, honestly.
No, truly.
Because there is a sword fight in this version. For sure, because it's from the movie. There's
For
sword
sure. Well,
fighting.
maybe inspired by the source,
Possibly
Search and
inspired by
Destroy,
the
which
original.
has it in there somewhere. I can't fucking tell where though.
Yeah.
But yeah, carry on with this. We get the organ. We get gunshots and shit.
What's going on with this one? This feels a lot cleaner, but they're still very distorted. They're distorted. They're just a tighter band.
Yeah, it's polished, like not even punk. It's just like polished rock, really.
Yeah, heavier rock for sure.
Yeah, polished hard rock with organ.
Yeah, and I guess the thing about this is because it's for the movie. I imagine, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was originally shot with the original song in mind, and they just kind of had to cover the song.
Right, because it plays pretty close instrumentally.
Yeah.
But you get, of course, female vocals because Sucker Punch is hashtag girl power. Or hashtag problematic. We're not sure.
We're not sure.
We can confirm there are women in the movie.
There are women in this movie. I can see them on the album artwork.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works well enough for the movie.
Yeah. Does it work well enough as a piece to listen to right now or at any given time, Alex?
Like, it's fine. I mean, if you like the band, I suspect. Like, if you're into the band, because they definitely, like, give it their own sound, right? It sounds like this band doing it. But other than that, I don't know if there's much appeal.
Yeah, it's like, if you don't like the Stooges, I guess, if you don't like 70s rock, but you like rock, you might like this version.
I like this version, because, like, it's solid. And the intro's kind of cool, too. The, like, building of tension and that little organ part.
Yeah, the little organ, it's like, okay, we're doing things a little different.
Cool build into the main section with the ba-ba-ba-ba. So, it's nice. And maybe if you're really into Sucker Punch.
Which, hey, if you are, good for you. Or you're a fucking monster. We don't know.
Maybe check yourself. Maybe. Yeah. So, I mean, that's this one.
That's this one. Yeah, it was like, it's fine. It's good. Like, good enough. I was like, okay, yeah. Like, it hits hard enough. They're not, like you said, it's like, they know what they're doing. These guys are a respected band.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing songs correctly. Good for them. Let's talk about a sort of interesting band.
A very interesting band.
Yeah, Ministry.
If you go back and listen to their early material, which did you check out?
I didn't check it out, but I did read their description, which they were originally a synth pop band.
Yeah, so if you go, just on Spotify and check out their early albums, it's completely different from this. This is like industrial metal, and then the early stuff is like, it's synth pop. Like this, it's funny. It's a completely different band, basically. But if you look at the actual they've had so many members change, and like they've got more or less one guy who's kind of running it, and there's just like a ton of different members, and it's not like they went back to original members or anything. Like look at their past.
I just started up their first album here. Yeah. Holy shit!
Yeah, completely different. It's like just a completely different band. But I think possibly just changing members that much makes some sense.
Yeah, this is a real Ship of Theseus situation.
Yeah. Is it even the same band? It doesn't sound like it.
No, certainly not.
Anyway, what's going on in the actual...
I can see, like synth is still present in like
That's
industrial
true.
metal.
That's true. And it doesn't...
So, like, I can see how you could shift over a long enough time period into that.
Yeah, I was just like...
But it is still wild.
I was skimming the albums a little bit. And it doesn't take long for it to start getting some of that industrial sound.
Yeah, I just listened to the first track off of Twitch here, and it's coming in with a bit of industrial.
Okay, there's a little more grit there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, interesting evolution, but they have been around since, what was that first one, in the 80s?
Yeah, 83.
Yeah, so they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
And this is 2021, so.
Yeah, so quite some time later into their career.
Yeah. But part of that, so it is definitely in that industrial metal vein. They've slowed it down.
Yes.
Not as much as Sofia, but it still like has, especially with the metal, like that tension. It's slow and they build the tension.
Yeah.
And they got some cool stuff. Like the drums at the beginning kind of have a good little like groove to them.
Yeah.
And they,
Yeah, because it's just them and this chugging bass at the start with the tone on it being really nice and gritty. Yeah, it's got like a real gnarly feel to it. Very industrial, very like dark
and heavy. And that's what's slowing them down, probably.
I want to search and destroy all these damn machines. Let me tell you.
And like noise in between everything. So big synths. There's a lot of like the guitar's chugging and like a synth is doing more or less the same thing, and it's really just like big. It's like supporting the guitar. Intensity. That's more in the like intensity build when you get to like the pre-chorus.
Yeah.
There was kind of a weird sound. I'm jumping a little bit, but later on you get this like sharp sound that like rises up like.
Is that like a guitar? Maybe.
Could be a guitar. Could be some synth.
You got like a timestamp for me.
3:05.
Damn, Alex, you're jumping ahead just a bit.
Yeah, I went to like the end. I'm all over the place.
Here, I'm waiting for it. Yeah, I think that might be I hear what you're that. It's a guitar or a synth or a guitar. Maybe you like ran through a synth.
Yeah, lots. I mean, it's industrial, so everything's like real.
I can rule out vocals.
Yeah. Okay.
And probably bass and drums. Probably bass.
Yeah. So they got some pretty cool intensity building sections because of all that. I do like kind of how it rises on the pre-chorus. Again, more synth. Lots of synth.
Lots of synth. That's like industrial is getting to me because of its use of synth.
Yeah. Wow.
Like we've had a few different examples of industrial over the past like month or two here, and I'm like, yeah, this stuff's actually pretty good. Your vocals are pretty classic for this genre. They're not. Yeah, I got only bomb.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's how would I describe it? I don't know. I already described it. Intense. It's intense.
Yeah, like big. Like the rhythm is heavy and like it hits hard too. So it's like like it really punches every rhythmic note. So even though it is slower, it's quite powerful.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just accidentally started the video with the drums at the very start really come in.
Oh yeah. They're doing some heavy duty things here. So yeah, it's got a rough feel to it. So and this is kind of like this is in a sense what I was talking about when I'm like, yeah, like the original is quite clearly proto punk. Like this is so far down the line of like what we can do with hard rock.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in modern times, yeah. We can do everything ever. Now.
Yeah. We can literally do everything.
Yeah. There's nothing is off limits.
They do like a kind of call and response section near the end.
Like the outro with the like search and destroy Forgotten Boy.
And destroy Forgotten Boy.
That's the other thing that I forgot to point out. The way they say the lyrics, because it's a bit slower, it gets fairly percussive. And that part is included. But also like early on, like hang on. I lost it.
Hanging on.
I thought I had it. Anyway, it's more percussive. Rhythmic.
Yeah, and like we're talking industrial. We're also talking about like sort of the main themes of the original song, which is the military industrial complex.
Yeah, which
and so
comes
bringing
up in the
this
music video too.
Soul-crushing percussive like vocal style to it is, I think, very in line with some of the points Iggy Pop and the Stooges were getting at. I think it's a good interpretation of it.
Yeah, totally works. And the music video is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, but like it is.
But there's some cool stuff in it too.
Yeah, we start with these morphing shots of close-ups on like guns.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing in like a plane crash in a desert.
Yeah, like blown out like industrial wasteland. Mad Max style post-industrial
Mad Max for sure.
Wasteland.
Yeah.
With the band playing, and I thought it was just gonna be the band playing, and it mostly is. With a
but it's also the lead singer firing a gun. This film grain effect, very like old, like reel to reel. Yeah.
Quite frankly, not a great effect.
I don't think it. I guess they were going for that. Like if you see a war film in like a tent in Vietnam. They'd be like, this is where the enemy base is.
But like the rest of it doesn't look right. Like there's something wrong about it. I can't put my finger on
it just kind of looks like your monitor's fucked up.
But they keep that grain effect for sure, like projector grain effect.
They keep it. Yeah.
And it's mostly them playing, but there's also, the Gatling gun. The other thing, which I thought was cool, they do some, like, lighting. So at points, the lead singer is in some kind of blown-out building.
Like a barrack or like a greenhouse of some kind, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like a tent frame, like a
tent frame.
Tent sort of thing, which I think is still barracks. But, where, like, military guys would sleep.
Because there's a bunch of hanging fluorescent lamps.
And there's like a spotlight on his face. Yeah. But it kind of moves around. So like most of him is in shadow or his face will glow, but then there's times where he looks down and like it just reflects off his glasses. So his face is in darkness, but his glasses are reflecting. Anime style. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, he looks like Shinji's dad.
Yeah. He's Shinji's dad.
Also, so many fucking glasses on this guy. He's got the glasses on his face. He's got the glasses on his helmet. And then at one point, he pulls the visor down on a helmet. It's like more glasses.
He just needs eye protection, man.
Yeah, this guy is keeping it safe on the eyeballs. That was another thing I was thinking. We got a dude in a leather jacket playing guitar.
In the desert.
He's got to be fucking boiling.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a fun concept for even just like where to shoot a band like playing music. Oh, it's a plane crash. Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, okay.
Like you said, Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max. So, yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, not a bad music video.
But, like, pretty straightforward, like, the band is playing, but some cool visuals, for sure.
Yeah, cool visuals. Lose the grain, I would say.
Yeah, or improve it. Like, I feel like it's just not a very good version of a film grain filter.
Maybe it helps some of the shots, like when he's firing the gun, maybe it made those look less hokey.
Yeah, the firing the gun
maybe it looks like
definitely
absolute shit without that.
Yeah. I mean, special effects are expensive.
Yeah.
But
anyway. I don't know, dog. 2021. So, like, get special effects on the cheap. You hire the Marvel studio team to do it.
Yeah.
They'll do anything for $1. Oh, and at the end, he has a sign that says, "How concerned are you?"
Oh, I forgot about that. How concerned am I? I got to think about this.
About a white man with dreadlocks? Like, moderately.
Yeah.
It is 2021. Maybe it's time to nix those, but hey. Who am I to say? We've been talking a lot about like the military-industrial complex, the war machine. Why don't we talk about Florence and the Machine in 2022?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm the runaway son of the nuclear A-bomb. I am the world's forgotten boy, the one who searches and destroys.
We know Florence and the Machine. You know them better than I do.
I know them better than you do. So this is from their deluxe edition 2022 album, Dance Fever. It's an acoustic version. We talked about them previously for Cornflake Girl.
Oh, yeah.
I think was the last time we talked about them.
It's been a while. Other than they probably come up on a year-end episode.
Cornflake Girl? Oh, yeah, they probably came up on a year-end episode a couple times. But, I don't listen to them as much as I used to. I've listened to this 2022 album, not the deluxe edition. But, so many albums came out in 2022.
Yeah.
A lot of them got lost in the mix for me. But yeah, this is Florence and the Machine. And it's acoustic. And that might be enough for some people to say, hey, this is bad. I certainly felt that way as I started it. But I think there's some good, like, dynamics in here.
There are some good dynamics in here. I mean, to start off, there's a couple acoustic guitars, Yes. So you got more than one acoustic guitar. You're already, like, you're working your way up that first step. Mm-hmm. And then Florence, controversial statement, good singer.
Good singer, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because, like, obviously compared to the other versions, they like taken the distortion away, which most of the other versions have. Not Sofia, but I mean Sofia did something similar. It fits the voice better, is what I'm saying. Like, not having that, so, like, it does fit. But she does really get intense as it goes.
Yeah, she doesn't remove the bite. So many people go, we're going to, like, de-intensify and take out the grid. She's like, well, how do we keep that?
Yeah. And, like, you can hear how she does it, kind of. Like, particularly I noticed in the pre-chorus, like you can hear the way she's pushing to sing, because at the end of the lines you can hear like she breathes out before she the pressure still has to release before she breathes in again. So like you can get that. So she's really singing it.
Yeah, she fucking gives her. And yeah, it's a dynamic vocal performance, and there's a clear like increase of like musical intensity. We start with a couple acoustic guitars, and they're playing strong. They're not just doing like a charisma duo like limp chords and like there you go. They're hammering on those things. And then boom, drums come in, and she starts singing harder.
Drums.
There's some hand claps in the mix here.
Hand claps? Yeah.
It almost plays into this like hippie protest idea of the Vietnam War. It's like, well, we don't have distortion. We got acoustic guitars, and also we don't like war.
Right. Vietnam protest, but like earlier, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like 60s as opposed to 70s.
So that's cool. I like the solo also. Which I think is guitar. I thought it might be mandolin at first, but it actually sounds like a slide guitar, like possibly a metal body, like National Guitar. It has that kind of like old bluesy sound to it.
It definitely had like a not guitar tone to it, while still, I think, being a guitar.
Like bright, I think. It's like bright, which I would expect.
I almost said banjo, because I was like, there's something like, and in the playing style, like quite rapid. I was like, okay, this is maybe something in that range. But yeah, I think it's a guitar.
Yeah, I think it's a slide guitar. And like the way it does that, like... Do you remember that video of that guy who's just like, it's a fucking blues, man? And he's just like, just like playing, like hammering on that chord on that, like, guitar. So it reminds me of that, which really has that intensity that you get from like punk rock as well. But
yeah, I think that's a good thing to be reminded of, but acoustically.
Yeah, it's a good thing to put in. Yeah, I thought it was just like a really solid version. Really good version of the song.
Singing some Forgotten Boys at the end here, some Hey Hey Heys.
Hey Heys.
Somebody screams at the end, they go, ah!
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to think at the start, but I was really impressed by this version.
Yeah, it really swept, and I tried to be like, I know I like Florence and the Machine, so I should try and like play cool with my opinion, but
to, like ease off a bit and be like, no, I don't want that to color my opinion, but no, it's totally solid version, I think.
Yeah, pretty sick. There is a lyric video for this. Alex, what's our official stance on lyric videos? I feel like they're a waste of time to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it, so does that answer your
I watched
question?
it. Yeah, I suppose so. The lyrics are delivered on like ribbons wrapped around lightning bolts.
I see, and then the lightning bolts fly
like
to Earth,
out.
Sort of as if Zeus was throwing them, because they're all just like static bolts. Not static
searching
electricity,
and destroying
static as
with
in
them.
not moving. And then they just kind of slide along.
All right. That's right, Alex. So that does it for our cover review. So it's time for our final verdicts. We got 3 categories today. We got the worst version, the best version, and the version that the Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would listen to while being in Call of Duty, as he's now been announced in the hit war video game series Call of Duty.
Oh my gosh, I did not hear about that. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's about the military-industrial complex to a degree, this song, and what if not Call of Duty and our love of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So is Call of Duty just doing a Fortnite?
Yeah, it's just Fortniting, and I think
that's fair enough.
With like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trying to do their best to play all fields, right? Because they are for everyone. Yeah. They got their adult stuff, they got their kids stuff, they got the family stuff. They're playing all ends. They're like, we got to push some of that by having the Shredder be in Call of Duty.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Weird, but
worst version.
And we're also sponsored by Call of Duty this week. I should have mentioned that. No, Alex, what's the worst version?
What's the worst version? I don't hate Corn Doggy Dog and the Half Pound for what they are, but I didn't like their version the most.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
But I'm also like, but they're doing their thing. They're like a punk rock band playing a punk rock song. I get it. They're like, keep it up, boys. But also, I'm just not that interested in listening to it. Although, if I was at a thing and that was outdoors and there was a stage and they were there, I'd probably have a good time.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a matter of hating them. It's just like Skunk and Nancy is the other safe act, and they're much more polished.
Yeah.
what's her face, Sofia, tries a lot, and I like that. Even though I don't think she quite hits. She doesn't land the mark, but I don't think she deserves to be crucified with worst for it. Corn Doggy Dog, who just double times it, yeah, we could probably give them worst and not feel too bad about it. But yeah, if I saw him live, I'd be like, fuck yeah, Corn Doggy Dog!
I'd be super into it, yeah.
I'd be into it. He probably drops an inspirational speech about like not doing heroin.
And I'd be like, I will not do heroin now. Thank you. Z-Man.
Z-Man. Todd Z-Man. Not Zemeckis.
Last names that start with Z. Oh, there's not that many, are there?
Alex, what's the best version?
What is the best version? Honestly, Florence and the Machine. I really liked what they did with it. They changed it quite a bit without like necessarily abandoning the feel. Even though I liked some of the other ones too, that one just bypassed them. Although I quite enjoyed Ministry at the end of the day.
Ministry was tight. I think in the better industrial version of the two we got there between that and Jared Louche. Yeah. Not that I thought Jared Louche was bad. No. But yeah, I think in terms of, and I think rock and simplicity is part of the core of like even the original song is most present in Florence and the Machine. Simple, intense, but what if we make it acoustic? Yeah. A bold decision
and some blues
that shouldn't pay off. Some
good
blues
stuff.
in there, yeah. Good stuff. I think you're right. I think that may be the best version of this. Alex, what's the Shredder's out here looking to make turtle soup of... I don't know who the enemy is in the new Call of Duty. The Vietnamese... It cannot be a Vietnam War
Can't
one.
Be a Vietnam one.
Of space Nazis. Shredder's out here shredding space Nazis to make space Nazi soup. Which version of this is he listening to?
Skunk and Nancy is probably the easiest one to license. Oh, Shredder probably loves Sucker Punch.
Do they kill turtles in that?
Do they make turtle soup in that? Do they eat turtle
Do they make turtle soup in that?
No, I have no basis for that claim.
But I guess there is martial arts in there, so you're right in that.
No, I got it. Okay, this is
you got it?
This is Shredder. This is Orokusaki, right? He's a master, and he needs a clear mind to.
Of course.
Was he shooting guns?
Yeah, I suppose he's shooting guns.
Huh. Anyway, Sofia is where I'm leading to because
that's why Fortnite would be a better pick. Yeah, Sofia. Okay.
Yeah, because he's like he needs to focus on his mastery of martial arts, but also shooting people.
So right, your idea is like music is a distraction to him. He's a warrior.
Yeah, this is like his bring the heart rate down so I can focus.
Yeah, so he's like, if something must be playing, it's got to be this to bring to the zen of the battlefield is what he's looking for. So gain that through Sofia. Okay, that's a solid approach. I really like us getting into the psyche of Orokusaki.
Yeah,
the Shredder.
He's the master of the Foot Clan.
Martial arts master of the Foot Clan. Sometimes no, he's not a construction worker in the movie. That was Amano Yoshi. In New York, he briefly works as a construction worker. I think it's implied by his hard hat and then gets murdered. It's going to be Ministry for me, dog. You know what? He needs some of that hard hitting rhythm. And he's a man who, you know what? Revenge is the
He's a man of industry.
He feels nothing. Like, martial arts to him is drudgery at this point. The killing of others in the search of his quest to kill a big rat.
Yep. And some turtles.
Sure, yeah.
And dine on turtle soup.
He's gonna dine on turtle soup, you better believe it. So, like, for him, it's like, it's same shit, different day. Let's put in the industrial music, and let's get that call and response, that percussive rhythm that's gonna help him focus in.
Yeah, it's just, something to time out to.
Yeah.
Regular beat, yeah.
Call of Duty now available on your TI-88 calculator. I think that's what they launched it for.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right. Who can keep track of all these consoles these days?
There's too many of them. That does it for our main segment. If you got a similar opinion, different opinion, want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about, of which there are many, hit us up on Twitter, #CoverMePod, @JakeTheCressy, @SmalXWiseGuy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. You can also email us, covermepod@gmail.com. Be sure to rate and review us. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcasting app. Wherever you can find a podcast, you can find us talking about stuff. You know what we talk about. Cover songs and original songs, because how else would we talk about the cover songs? Tell your friends, family, neighbors, loved ones, hated ones, ones you feel pretty neutral about. Reach out to your community. Tell them about us. Go to like a parent-teacher meeting where they're worried about what the youth are into and be like, I think they're into this thing called Cover Me. It's fucked up. You guys should listen. So you know like what's what's going on, so you know what your kids are talking about, so you know the slang. And then they'll listen to this, and they'll be like, "What the fuck?" But then they'll listen to it. We'll have a bunch of boomers and Gen X. Is Gen X who got kids, and elder millennials, I guess,
And Gen X.
and Gen X. Yeah, we get a bunch of them on board. That's the plan, guys. Talk about us at the PTA meetings.
Yeah, untapped marketing potential. PTA meetings.
No podcaster has tried this before. The scare tactic. That does it for today's episode of Cover Me. And as we always say on Cover Me, look out, honey, because I'm listening to Cover Me.